Hey Mena Warriors, it's Kate and welcome back to my channel where you can expect weekly videos from me on a Monday to share all things menopause to serve you where you are in your life right now. Today I'm going to be giving you some tips on why saturated fats in particular are actually going to support you during your menopausal journey. If it's the first time you've come across me, I help instill belief in menopausal mamas that you can even be happier and more energized than you were prior to actually going through those menopausal years by following a simple strategy that I found and which has helped countless other women around the globe to find a sense of self beyond menopause and really move into their energy and thrive rather than just survive. So you can find me on Instagram at Kate Hartley UK. Obviously you can follow me, please follow and click the subscribe button on YouTube. I'm going to be sharing a free resource with you and also some research studies that are going to support what I'm saying today, because I know there's a lot of information out there saying, oh, saturated fats are bad for you. Actually, they are not. And more important, during the menopause, we need them. So I thought I'd put a few studies below just to support what I'm saying today, so you can go off and do your own research if you really want to. So you will find that if you are struggling with your weight, if you're struggling with your health in general, doctors, health professionals will often say cut down on or cut out saturated fats. For most of us going through perimenopause and menopause now, we've even grown up in that era when everything was low fat, and low fat meant healthy. Well, low fat, particularly in those days, we're getting a little bit more savvy now, meant that instead of it having fat in it, they stuck a load of sugar in it. And we now know that sugar is inflammatory, it can cause cancer, it attacks our immune system, it is negative on every single level. We don't need sugar. Fruits and vegetables have sugar in them naturally. We do not need any extra sugar at all. Anything that's got sugar added to it, ideally you want to be stripping out of your diet. Fats are incredibly important to us for a range of different things. They're going to help you with your brain fog. They're going to help you with your nervous system, so help you keep feeling less stressy. Because I know as we go through menopause, you can feel anxious, mood swings can be crazy, you can have like this rage that just comes upon you for no reason whatsoever. And fats are going to help to keep your insulin levels stable, which is going to help your mood as well. But it's also going to help you get or keep away the belly fat. I know I speak to so many women who say the belly fat, I don't understand it, I don't know what's going on, my bum's gone, my thighs have gone, and all of a sudden it's moved upwards. It's the only thing that seems to move northwards when we're getting older. That is because as our estrogen levels decline, our adrenal glands actually back up the job of the ovaries. So our ovaries go into retirement and our adrenal glands actually start to produce estrogen to support the fact that our ovaries are no longer doing that. Well, our adrenal glands are already under quite a lot of stress because this time of life is quite stressful. In any case, you might have aging parents, you might be a caregiver, you might be doing empty nesting and adjusting to that when your kids leave home. You might have changes in the dynamics of your relationship with your significant other because you no longer have the kids at home. And just because of bodily and physical changes, I think it's a time of your life when you can feel incredibly vulnerable. And so we've already got a lot of stress going on. And that means that our adrenals are already quite tired. So they're now having to back up the job of the ovaries. And that essentially means that our cortisol levels, one of our stress hormones, and adrenaline are going to increase. Well, when that happens, more insulin gets injected into the bloodstream. Well, insulin is one of our is our fat storing hormone. So you want to be keeping your blood sugar levels, you want to be keeping your insulin stable. And this is where healthy fats come into their own, because they help to keep us feeling fuller for longer, so we're not snacking. So when we snack, pretty much whatever we eat is going to make our insulin levels rise to a degree. If we've got healthy fats if we're eating healthy fats regularly, ideally in every meal, then it's going to keep us feeling fuller for longer, and we're not going to be taking those snacks as often as we would otherwise do. You might find when you wake up in the morning, particularly when you get your nutrition on point, you're not hungry. If you're not hungry, don't eat. There's a lot of conflicting evidence out there, and I think we have to treat ourselves as guinea pigs to a degree. And you might think, oh, I really don't want to treat myself as a guinea pig. I treat myself as a guinea pig all the time. But I can tell you one thing, a large proportion of my daily calories come from healthy fats. I probably eat way more healthy fats than you think I do. I love nuts, I love seeds, I love olives, I love avocado. I eat butter, I have grass-fed butter, healthy butter. I eat a lot of fatty fish. I eat meat too. I do love vegetables, and I'm quite happy to follow a vegan diet, but I do occasionally eat meat. I don't eat the fat off meat, but I do like healthy meat. And I eat a lot of healthy fats. I eat eggs. It's all about balance, and it's all about finding what works best for us. So you might wake up in the morning and think, yeah, I'm starving, I need to eat something. So eat something that's got some protein in it. Eat something that's also got some healthy fats in it. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are also fat soluble, so they need fat in order to be absorbed into the bloodstream. So, you know, like that's why it's so important to have like healthy fats when you're eating a salad. Either have some avocado with it or some olives on it, or drizzle some extra virgin olive oil on it, because that's, or put some nits, you don't want nits on it, but you could have some seeds or nuts on it. And the healthy fats from that are going to help you absorb the nutrients from the salad more effectively. But just going back to saturated fats, I think we've grown up with the belief that they're going to make us have a heart attack. Well, these studies that I've referenced below, they all show that when you're eating things like vegetable oils, so canola, soy oil, blah, 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 can't get my words out today, various vegetable oils, margarine, for instance. Margarine was marketed as the healthy way of making your sandwiches. It's not. They're high in omega-6s. And omega-6s, we tend to eat more of than we should do in any case. Omega-6s have been linked to inflammation in the body. Inflammation increases our risk for cancer. It increases our risk for cardiovascular disease. It increases our risk for strokes, all sorts of horrible things. Saturated fats, in the right proportions, are going to support you. One thing to really remember, particularly as we're going through the menopause, is cholesterol. Cholesterol gets a really bad rap too. And I know there's the bad, there's the LDL, and there's the good, the HDL. But cholesterol in and of itself is the precursor to all of our steroid hormones. So testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, for instance, they all require fat, cholesterol fat, in order to be able to synthesize in the body. So if we're starving ourselves of fat in a crazy effort to try and lose weight, all we're doing is spiking our insulin. We're making our cortisol receptors go ping, 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 which makes us put belly fat on, because we have 4 times the amount of cortisol receptors around our belly than we do in any other part of the body. And we're always hungry because we're not eating fats, and we're not being able to make the hormones. We're depriving ourselves of this small amount of hormones that we're naturally making because we're not eating fat. So it's really, really, really important that we do eat saturated fats, and that we reduce our intake of vegetable oils. If you eat margarine, substitute for grass-fed butter. Just don't eat masses of it. Avocado oil is really healthy. Extra virgin olive oil is really healthy. Coconut oil is really healthy. These are really good ways of, you know, getting the nutrients out of your other food groups, but also keeping you satiated, and they are a healthy form of fat. I just want to go over certain types of saturated fats that you may have heard of, you may not have heard of. Caprylic acid, it's in nuts, it's in breast milk. If it's in breast milk, it's got to be good, hasn't it? It's coconut oil and dairy. This is fantastic for our immune system. It's antiviral, and it's good for acne in particular. Lauric acid, you find that in coconut oil and breast milk. Again, that's antiviral and boosts our immune system. Palmitic acid, you'll have heard a lot about this. This is known as the baddie. That is the main structural component of our cells, of the human body. It's a vital part of us. You get it in nuts, seeds, fish products, animal products. 50% of our cell membrane uses this particular fat, palmitic acid. It's not the baddie that has been put out there to be. Bones need fatty acids for calcium metabolism. Saturated fats, like I said, are the precursor for steroid hormones. So cortisol, testosterone, estrogen, they're really essential for our nervous system. And then butyric acid is a main fatty acid, feeds the cells of the colon. So if you've got leaky gut, celiac disease, digestive problems, you need to be eating butyric acid because it keeps those cells healthy. It's in butter and it's also in microbes. So when you're eating things like vegetables, you wouldn't think that saturated fat, butyric acid, would be present in vegetables, but it is. So the microbes that populate the colon, that keep our gut healthy, they are populated by the fiber that we eat from our vegetables. The point is that if you're consuming high quality fats, they're not bad. They're only bad when you start adding the carbs and the sugar and the rest of the rubbish that we have in our processed foods and our packaged foods that it causes a problem. Also, omega-3s are important to eat more of because, like I mentioned earlier, we tend to eat more omega-6s, which are an essential fatty acid because we don't make them. But because things like salad dressings, mayonnaise, margarine, a lot of packaged foods are quite high in omega-6s. We tend to have too many of them and they're inflammatory, and not enough omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory. So again, omega-3s, offal, if you like, offal, grass-fed meat. I just cannot get my words out today. Oily fish, not canned tuna, because canned tuna has the fat removed from it. It's literally just the meat. So you want fresh tuna if you're going to eat tuna. Mackerel, sardines, anchovies. What else? There's another one. Caviar, if you can afford it. But if you don't eat meat, then you can get them from chia seeds, you can get them from nuts and seeds, various things like that, tofu. You need to eat a lot more nuts and seeds to get the EPA and the DHA like you get from, or to get sufficient omega-3 fatty acids that you get from meat. You are going to have to eat more nuts and seeds if you're vegan, and focus on that. Obviously coconut oil, olive oil, as I've mentioned, and you'll find that if you're struggling with brain fog, when you start to introduce more healthy fats into your diet, you are going to be able to think more clearly. Your memory will improve, your joint health will improve. I know a lot of people complain of sore joints as they're going through the menopause. That's probably down to the fact that you're not eating enough healthy fats. You need healthy fats to keep your skin looking plump. When we're fat deprived, our wrinkles become worse and we look more gaunt. You can look more radiant when you're eating healthy fats. And they do help you control your weight. It is a complete myth that they make you get fat. Obviously, if you're sat there and you eat a whole, 3 avocados and a bowl of, I don't know, coconut oil, yeah, you're going to put weight on. But the point about this is, do not treat saturated fats as the baddie they've been sort of put out there in the press to be, because they're not. We need them for our hormones, we need them for our brain health, we need them for our skin, we need them for our joint health. Like I said earlier, we were brought up in an age where fat is bad. It's not, sugar is. When you break down your macros into the percentages of what you should ideally be eating on a daily basis, this is how I sort of break mine down. I have a good 30 to 40% of mine is healthy fat. 30 to 40% should be carbohydrates. That's vegetables. It's not white flour, white bread, white pasta, white rice. It's healthy stuff. It can be like sweet potatoes. It can be wholemeal pasta and brown rice to a degree, but you want to be cutting down the amount that you're eating. We eat far more rice and pasta than we really need to do, and 30% lean protein. As we go through menopause, particularly if you exercise regularly, you should be your protein needs are going to be higher. So you ideally want to be adding more protein. Ideally, eat protein at every meal. If it's low fat on the label, it definitely means it generally means it's got other rubbish in it. So get good at looking at labels. If it's got, I'd say if it's over 7 grams of sugar per 100 grams, I would put it back on the shelf, 100%. A lot of people say, what do I eat? So typically, I follow like an intermittent fasting thing. So 16 hours off, 8 hours on, which means that You know, I normally eat about 11 o'clock. I have a brunch, and then my final meal will be ideally no later than 7 o'clock in the evening. So it means basically I'm fasting between the hours of 7 and 11 a.m. So 7 p.m. and 11 a.m. My day starts with either an egg on toast, homemade toast with a home-laid egg, or I have my usual is a small portion of oats. I have a small portion of low sugar granola. I have chia seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds in it, my healthy fats. I have Greek yogurt, live bacteria. It's also a good source of protein. And I have blueberries and sometimes strawberries on top of that. And then I also have a small amount of my superfood shake that I add to that. That's a range of adaptogen herbs and digestive enzymes, and also more protein. And then I have almond milk, unsweetened, not almond milk, oat milk, unsweetened oat milk on that. I have a late lunch snack at around about sort of 2-3 o'clock, which is again, it's a superfoods concoction. So again, it's adaptogen herbs, digestive enzymes, protein, and I mix that up often with frozen cauliflower. It comes in a flavor. I have a vanilla chocolate or cafe latte, and I mix that with frozen cauliflower, water, and sometimes frozen berries. If I've got like a chocolate flavored one, it's really nice with frozen berries. That helps to support my cortisol levels. It also helps to balance my hormones, helps to keep my stress levels down. It's great for your mental health. It helps to sort of really balance out those mood swings. Sometimes I'll also put a spoon of nut butter in it. If you eat nut butters, make sure there's no added sugar in it, because quite often they add sugar. I love, I think it's Meridian crunchy almond butter. Oh, it's gorgeous. So sometimes I put a blob of that in it as well. And then for evening, it's normally a piece of cod loin or a piece of salmon, sometimes chicken, on maybe like baked cauliflower rice. Cauliflower is literally, it's raw cauliflower blitzed in a food processor, and then it makes the tiny little crumbs, and I bung that in the oven, probably with some butter, sometimes butter and coconut oil. And I bake that. Sometimes I put a little bit of desiccated coconut over the top of that, and I might have that with some samphire or greens of some sort. I always have lots of green veggies. I always cook it with a lot of spinach as well, but spinach, you know, if you buy a big bag of spinach, it goes down to tiny amounts. I normally have mushrooms with it. Mushrooms are really high in vitamin D as well, and various other minerals. I'm a mushroom addict. I also normally I add garlic and onion to the pan if I'm doing the spinach, just because it gives the spinach a bit more flavor, and garlic and onion are very good prebiotics, so they're very good for our gut health. So the green veggies are the probiotics. They feed they're good for the health. The probiotics are the healthy bacteria, and the prebiotics, so like the leeks, the onions and the garlic, feed the probiotics. So probiotics need to eat, so the prebiotics are what the probiotics eat, if that makes any sense. And that's what I have. And I rarely feel overfull. I never feel hungry, and I never get cravings. And I promise you, it makes the biggest difference. Once you can control your insulin levels, once you eat healthy fats regularly and don't fear them, you'll find your belly fat will go down. You'll find you will be fuller for longer. You'll find your sort of cravings will vanish. And if you do get a craving, if you do like something sweet at the end of a meal in the evening, have a piece of dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is so high in antioxidants. You don't want to be having too much of it, because it's quite high in caffeine as well, so it might keep you awake. But a chunk or two of dark chocolate, and I mean, you know, 70% plus of dark chocolate, of cocoa solids, it's not going to do you any harm at all, and it's going to be a lot healthier than having maybe a sweetened fruit flavored yogurt or something, or a biscuit, for instance. Again, you're replacing, you know, chocolate is healthy, a biscuit is not, and it's just making the right food choices. It's crowding out the bad with the good. So I hope that's clarified a little bit about why saturated fats are so important for us. Those acids that I mentioned earlier are incredibly important for our immune system, for our brain health, for our joint health, for our cellular structure. Saturated fats are not the baddie. You just want to be eating them in moderation. Ideally, you want to be cutting out sugars, and you get good at reading food labels. Processed foods are what are causing the issues these days. So make sure if you really want to get into it, read a book by Dr. Lisa Mosconi. I've mentioned her before. The Brain Food, I think it's called. Brain Food is the book. It's fantastic, and it will help you understand the importance of feeding our brains effectively, and also how having a healthy diet, as in what we eat, not restriction diet, is going to help prevent us getting dementia. That's really important. Dementia is huge, particularly in women. So I hope that's been helpful. Any comments? Make sure you leave them below. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you for your company. Make sure to click follow and share if you found this helpful, because if you found it helpful, it might help somebody else. And I will look forward to catching you next Monday.